Hello everyone, I'm Alvin Pratama, lecturer in Atmospheric and Planetary Science, Institute Teknologi Sumatera. Today we will talk and discuss about the concept of adaptation and mitigation action of climate change. And as we have learned previously, climate change is already affecting many aspects of our environment and daily lives, from rising sea level rise and extreme weather events to threaten to agriculture, health, and water resource. And while the causes are complex, the solution requires both local and global efforts. That's where adaptation and mitigation come in. These are two key strategies that help us respond to climate change. Adaptation focuses on adjusting to the effects that are already happening or cannot be avoided, such as building flood defenses or developing drought-resistant crops. Mitigation, on the other hand, aims to reduce the source of greenhouse gases. We will talk more in the next slide. And in this session, we will discuss the definition, example, and importance of both adaptation and mitigation strategies. We will also look at what action can be taken at the individual, community, and national levels, including what we can do here, especially in Indonesia and Lampung province. Let's begin and to the next slide. And let's take a moment to reflect on the simple but powerful message. Can we avoid the climate change? The answer is no. Can we reduce the climate change? The answer is yes. This highlights an important reality. Climate change is already happening. The impacts such as rising temperature, extreme weather, and sea level rise are being felt around the world. It's too late to completely avoid it because greenhouse gases have already been released into the atmosphere over decades. But here's the good news, we still have the power to reduce its effect. We can limit how severe those impacts become through mitigation by reducing emission and by reducing the emission and using the cleaner fuel and etc. And we can also prepare for the effects that are already happening through adaptation by protecting our communities, strengthening infrastructure, and etc. And these slides also remind us that the question is not whether the climate change will happen, but how much worse it will get, and that depends on what we do now. So instead of asking, can we stop the climate change completely? A better question is, what action can we take to protect our future and minimize the damage? That's the focus of our next discussion, learning about the mitigation and adaptation and discovering how we can be part of the solution, of course. And the impact of the climate change we have discussed previously. Global warming leads to the two key environmental change. First, it causes the increase in sea level. Second, leads to shift in weather patterns, including more intense rainfall and temperature extreme. Rising sea level have a serious impact on marine ecosystem and fisheries. Coastal communities that depend on fishing are at risk, both economically and environmentally. Sea level rise can also flood agricultural land, especially in low-lying areas, leading to a significant impact on agriculture. At the same time, change in rainfall and temperature pattern create new problems. Unpredictable weather affect crop cycles, water supply, and health, and also energy system. For examples, drought can reduce access to clean water and disrupt electricity generated from the hydropower. And this climate shift also increase the frequency and intensity of natural disasters, such as floods, storms, and wildfires, putting entire communities at risk, especially the poor and those living in vulnerable regions. So, who is most vulnerable? The answer is those who depend directly on natural resources, like farmers, fishers, and rural population. And those without access to strong infrastructure or healthcare. Children, the elderly, and low-income communities are especially at risk too. So, climate change is not just about environmental issues, it affects our economy, health, and everyday life, of course. That's why understanding this impact is essentially as we prepare to explore a solution through adaptation and mitigation strategies. Let's we take a look climate change effect in Indonesia. First, Indonesia is highly exposed to the effect of the global warming. We face sea level rise, especially in coastal area, especially in Lampung, along with changing rainfall pattern that can lead to floods and drought. These changes are already impacting agriculture production. And there has also been an increase in vector-borne disease like dengue. The second point is very significant. According to the data, 79% of all disasters in Indonesia are hydrometeorological disasters, meaning they are caused by water and weather, such as floods, storms, landslides, and etc. Between 2007 to 2010, we experienced hundreds of these events annually. This peaked in 2009 at over 1,200 incidents. Even more concerning, between 2000 and 2010, these disasters caused the loss of nearly 5,000 lives, affected over 17 million people, and damaged more than 2.5 million homes, mostly due to flooding. And however, the third point is also helpful. Indonesia has a major role to play in the tackling climate change. Through mitigation, we can reduce emission by protecting forests and improving practice in sectors like energy, agriculture, and waste. And through adaptation, we can strengthen community resilience by improving water management, disaster preparedness, and climate smart agriculture. So, while the risks are real and growing, Indonesia is not just a victim of the climate change. It is also a country with great potential to be part of the solution, of course. And now let's focus on the one of the key response to climate change is adaptation. So, climate change adaptation refers to the adjustment we make either in natural system or human activities in response to actual or expected impact of the climate change. The goal is to reduce harms and, when possible, take advantage of new opportunities that might arise. In simple terms, adaptation is about changing the way we live, work, and manage our environment so we can cope with these new climate conditions. This might include building seawalls, except for example, and switching to drought-resilient crops, improving water management, or redesign infrastructure to withstand extreme weather. And adaptation itself can be happen in two ways: reactive and proactive. Reactive adaptation happen after a impact has already occurred. For example, rebuilding a damaged village after a flood. Uh, and proactive adaptation, on the other hand, happen before the damage by anticipating risk and preparing in advance. For example, creating early warning system or zoning laws that prevent construction in high-risk area. And proactive adaptation is usually more effective and less costly in the long run. It helps us avoid crises and protects communities before the disaster strikes. You can also see more visual example of the slides like solar panel, which help community become more energy independent and climate resilience, and healthy green fields, which represent sustainable agriculture. So adaptation is about being ready, adjusting our system, our planning, and even our mindset to ensure we can live safely and sustainably in changing climates. And yeah, there are three key impact highlight in the slides. First, reduce crop yields. The example of the impact of the climate change, reduce crop yields. Climate change bring drought, flood, and unpredictable weather, all of which disrupt growing season and reduce food production. Second, from the impact of the climate change is spread of pests and disease and water security. But there are also strategies we can take to adapt. For example, one of the solutions is to develop and grow climate resilient crops, those that are more tolerant to drought or flooding. These crops can survive better in extreme conditions, helping farmers maintain their harvest. Another strategy is to adjust planting schedule by changing planting or harvesting times to match the new climate patterns. Farmers can avoid crop failure and make the most of the changing seasons. And finally, we need to improve irrigation technique using water efficiency system like drip irrigation or collecting and storing rainwater can help farmer use less water while keeping the crops healthy. So climate change threatens food security, but we are not helpless. By adapting farming practice, so better planning, new technology, and more resilient crops, we can protect our agriculture and ensure food for future generations. And this is the example adaptation activities in Lampung province. For example, in Central Lampung and Tanggamus, the focus is on the rice farming adaptation. Several key actions are being taken, such as local government and institutions are working to enhance farmers' knowledge and skills. And second, farmers are adjusting their planting schedules to better match the changing climates. This helps them avoid crop failure during unpredictable weather events. And the next, they are starting to use climate resilient rice varieties. These are rice types that are more tolerant to the droughts and or flooding. In Bandar Lampung itself, we see another approach, urban farming. Here, people are using vacant land in cities for vegetable gardening. This not only supporting food security, but also makes use of unused space in an effective and sustainable way. And finally, there is a push to develop a local resilient action plans, which mean the communities are actively preparing for the future risks with a clear strategy. So as we can see, both rural or urban area in Lampung are taking steps to adapt through education, innovation, and community-based planning. These efforts are great example of how local action can strengthen resilience and help us food security, help ensure the food security, in the face of climate change. And this is the adaptation in the water resource. As we know that the impact of the climate change in the water resource, for example, we have what reduce water availability and then alter rainfall patterns and another water quality degradation. But we have to adapt with this impact, such as we can use integrated water resource management. This is about planning water, land, and related resource in coordinated and effective way, so that we can meet the needs of agriculture, household, and environment all at once. Another solution is rainwater harvesting, collecting, and storing rainwater for both agriculture and domestic use. We also need to protect water seed and forests because they naturally regulate water flow and improve the water quality. And finally, we must invest in public awareness and education. When people understand how to use water wisely and protect its source, adaptation become more effective, of course. So adapting our water system to climate change is not just a technical issue. It's a community effort that requires smart planning, conservation, and education. And yeah, as part of our efforts to adapt to climate change, one important step is mapping areas that are vulnerable to disaster. In this slide, you can see for floods and landslide. This slide show two examples of such mapping activities. On the left, we have landslide risk map. This is in East Java. The red area indicate region with a high landslide potential, while yellow and green show medium and low risk. This kind of mapping is extremely valuable because it helps local government and communities plan ahead. Whether it's for land use regulation, emergency response, or relocating vulnerable population. On the right, you can see a flood-prone map in the South Jakarta, highlighting 42 neighbors at a high risk of flooding. Identifying which urban areas are likely to flood allows for better infrastructure planning, such as improving drainage systems, building flood barriers, and raising awareness among the local residents. And these maps are practical tools that support proactive adaptation. They don't stop climate change, but they help reduce the impact by informing a decision. For example, where to build school or hospital, where to avoid construction, or where to invest in early warning system. Moreover, this approach empowers communities. When people know their level of risk, they can be better prepared, respond faster, and recover more effectively. In this slide, we see several addition activities that support climate change adaptation in various environment, both urban and natural. The first, you can see reforestation, planting trees help restore degraded land, stabilize the soil, absorb carbon dioxide, and etc. Next, you can see the irrigation management. As rainfall become less predictable, we need to manage water more effectively. Upgrading irrigation system helps reduce water waste and ensure crops get the water they need. In coastal area, mangrove forests act as natural seawalls. Mangroves reduce coastal erosion, protect against storms, and serve as a buffer against rising sea levels. And another important activity is coral reef rehabilitation. As we know, coral reefs are not only important for marine biodiversity, but they also protect coastline by breaking wave energy. Healthy reef reduce the impact of waves and prevent damage to coastal communities. This action may seem diverse, but they all have one thing in common. They strengthen the ability of ecosystem and community to cope the climate impact. So whether it's planting a tree, restoring a coral, or improving irrigation, each action plays a role in building a climate resilient future. And now let's move on the concept of climate change mitigation. While adaptation help us deal with the impact of climate change, mitigation is about tackling the root cause, which is the release of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Mitigation itself refers to all effort made to reduce or prevent greenhouse gases emission, with the goal of limiting how much the planet warms in the future. This includes action across energy, land use, industry, and transportation. There are three major main objectives of mitigation. The first, stabilize or reduce the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Second, to slow down the pace of the climate change. And the third, mitigation aims to support sustainable development and environmental protection. Yeah, on the right side of the slide, you also can see visual that reflects the mitigation action, such as using renewable energy, forest protection, innovation in technology, and etc. Okay. Okay, in this slide, we can see several key strategies for climate change mitigation. This strategy aims to reduce greenhouse gases emission and move us toward a low carbon future. The first, renewable energy. This means shifting away from the fossil fuels and moving towards sources like solar, wind, hydro, and geothermal energy. The source don't release carbon dioxide when producing energy, making them much cleaner for the environment. Next, we have energy efficiency. This involves using energy more wisely in buildings. For example, switching LED lighting or electric vehicles can slightly reduce energy waste and emission. The next, reforestation and forestation are also crucial. Planting trees help absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and restore natural carbon sinks that have been lost due to deforestation. And another important strategy is sustainable agriculture. This means improving farming methods to reduce the emission from the methane and nitrous oxide. And we also need better waste management by composting, recycling, capturing methane from landslide, and this we reduce the emission that come from the waste decomposition. Finally, carbon pricing. This includes tools like carbon tax or emission trading system, which puts a price on carbon pollution. This goal is to encourage industry and consumers to choose cleaner alternatives. And this is another strategy, renewable energy in Indonesia. The table from the Ministry Energy and Mineral Resource shows 6 types of renewable energy in Indonesia: geothermal, bioenergy, hydro, ocean, wind, solar, and solar power. And from the data, we can see that hydropower has the highest installed capacity, which represents 27% of its total potential. Geothermal and bioenergy follows with installed capacity of 1,040 megawatts and 1,700 megawatts. It's just over 5% of their potential. However, when we look at ocean energy, wind, and solar, the percentage are surprisingly low, despite massive potential like 5,600 megawatt of solar and 1,700 megawatt of wind energy. And it's only 0.0125% of their capacity, yeah, respectively. Yeah, this shows us that Indonesia has enormous renewable energy potential, but only a small fraction has been developed. Yeah, expanding this resource is key to reducing reliance on fossil fuels, cutting emission, and slows the pace of the climate change. With the right policies, of course, investment and community support, Indonesia could become a regional leader in cleaner energy. Another is transportation efficiency. This slide highlights a key point. Car achieve 30 miles per gallon, emits about 1 ton of carbon dioxide every 10,000 miles driven. That might not sound like much, but consider how much vehicles are on the road worldwide and how far they are travel every day. What this tells us is that even a small improvement in fuel efficiency can lead to a significant reduction in emission over time. Um, yeah, fuel efficiency vehicles such as hybrid or modern low emission cars can travel more miles per gallon, which mean less fuel burn and less carbon dioxide release into the atmosphere. This not only helps the environment but also reduce fuel costs for consumers. So, how does this relate to mitigation? By increasing fuel efficiency across the transportation sector, we directly cut down on fossil fuel consumption, which is on the major source of the greenhouse gases. Other mitigation strategy on the transportation include shifting to electrical vehicles, developing public transportation, and promoting motorized transportation like walking and cycling. So improving transportation efficiency is not just a technology upgrade, it is a powerful step toward a cleaner, healthier future. And yeah. And for the Lampung province, some mitigation action, such as in Tanggamus Regency, we see the implementation of agroforestry practice. This means farmers are combining agriculture crops like coffee, pepper, and rubber with forestries. These efforts not only increase crop diversity and income but also help in absorbing more carbon dioxide and improving soil and water conservation. In Bandar Lampung itself, we have community-driven waste cycling program, and in Tanggamus also using solar power for coffee drying. And this local action might seem small, but collectively they make a big difference. They show that climate mitigation doesn't always require high-tech solution, just creativity, community participation, and sustainable thinking. So Lampung is not only adapting to climate change, but also actively reducing emission. And that's the spirit of climate action we want to inspire everyone, everywhere. And the last slide, we can see the fascinating illustration which present climate action as a complex structure under construction. At the very base, we have science. This include data, evidence, climate modeling, and understanding process like deforestation, ocean acidification, melting glaciers. Yeah, science forms the critical basis of the everything above it. Next, we move to the economy, where the terms like carbon markets, green jobs, and investment are actively being debated. Economic structure must adapt and shift toward low carbon development to support the upper layer. Above the life society dealing with the complex topics such as social costs, food security, and luxury emissions. It reflects how climate change affect our daily lives and society structures, from health system to the culture change. Then we reach the level of law and governments. This floor is crowded with policy negotiation, climate agreements, and debates over equity, responsibility, and political will. And finally, topping the structure are adaptation and mitigation. Uh, these two pillars must be built simultaneously to ensure the building stands strong. Adaptation help us respond to the impact already happening, while mitigation tackle the root causes. This building is not yet complete, of course, and as we see, it's a global effort. Just like in real construction, every level must be solid and well supported. The success of climate action depends on science, economy, society, law, and finally, both mitigation and adaptation strategy working together. Okay, that's the material for today. One thing, climate change is not only shared challenge. but also a shared responsibility. Through collective action in adaptation and mitigation, we can protect our environment, support sustainable development, and secure a better future for the next generation. Thank you for your attention, and let's stay committed to making a positive impact together. Thank you, and see you.